Hello, Bitcoiners. It's Mark Berger, your Bitcoin consultant here with an update on Wednesday, April 22nd at about 11:30 a.m. Bitcoin's price is at 79,000, almost on the dot right now. We're at block height 946,207, and I wanted to give you an important update on the price action of Bitcoin. We have achieved liftoff, so to speak. And from my update from a couple of months ago, when I said I think we will see a low in Bitcoin of $60,000, I happened to hit that right on the nose. We touched $60,000 for maybe an hour, maybe less than an hour. I told you wouldn't be able to get it, but I thought that would be the bottom. And now it seems like with this recent price action, we do have a bottom. So at 79,000, we have broken through the last 3 months of price action, starting from about late January, early February. We have broken the 128-day daily moving average, breaking through that really nicely. And what I really like about this is that my favorite chart pattern has been playing out here. And that chart pattern is called a cup and handle pattern. Now, what is a cup and handle pattern? If you can imagine a teacup, looking at it from the side, you will see a teacup with a little handle on it on the side. And that is a classic formation that is always indicates to me that once price breaks above this pattern of the handle, we're going much higher. So how much higher? Well, the left side of the teacup was about $76,000, which occurred on March 17th. The bottom of the teacup looks like it was about March 29th at about $65,000. So that gives us about a $10,000 or $11,000 target to the upside. So what's 10 or 11,000 in addition to 76? Well, that gets us to about $86,000, which is really the target that I have that we are going to reach sometime in the next 30 days here, which also happens to line up perfectly with the next level of resistance that we're going to see on the chart of Bitcoin from about November to January. We saw a floor in the weekly price of Bitcoin at about that $86,000 level. So I think that's exactly where we're going from here. We're going from 76 to 86, or from 79 to 86. And I think we can get there pretty quickly in the next couple of weeks. And then we're going to be rejected at that level. So this is all very exciting. If you've held your Bitcoin through this sort of this mini bear market in the winter for the last 3 months, congratulations. And even more congratulations if you have been able to add to your position. As I told you in my last update was it January or February? I actually added to my long-term positions in Bitcoin into my retirement account. And I was able to make two buys, one at about 63,000 and the other around 68,000. So now I'm glad I made those buys in the beginning of the year and not waiting till the end of the year. And if you still have money that you want to move into a retirement account or convert a retirement account into a Bitcoin IRA, please contact me. This is what I help people do all the time, is create Bitcoin IRAs where you actually get to hold the Bitcoin in your hands. You're not holding paper Bitcoin. You're actually holding Bitcoin itself in your self custody inside a tax deferred, at least in the United States, a tax deferred retirement account. So please contact me if you want information and if you would like my help in getting that set up for you, which is a huge, huge thing to do if you have some money in a retirement account or want to contribute money. So the next thing is people always want to know, well, this? What's causing the price to go up? Well, of course, the simple answer is more people are buying than selling at this point. That's all we really know. But there's a lot of speculation as to why this is happening and why did the price go down in the winter around January and February? Why did it go down in the first place? Well, what I believe is that the first reason is that we've had this huge shift of Bitcoin mining companies moving into artificial intelligence, AI. These Bitcoin mining companies like Marathon, like Riot, like Semler, they're basically electricity buyers, and then they turn that electricity into computing power. And of course, in the Bitcoin world, that computing power generates Bitcoin, which can then be sold at a profit compared to the cost that they pay for electricity. And that has been the public Bitcoin mining company model for years now. Until recently, AI has come onto the scene. Unless you're living under a rock, you don't know what AI is, and you don't know how it's completely changing our world and our economy and the labor market. So there's this huge demand for AI, for compute power. And so these Bitcoin mining companies are making a calculation, and they're saying, instead of using our electricity and our compute power to generate Bitcoin, we can use those same resources to serve the demands of AI. So they're making the pivot. They're switching from Bitcoin to AI. And so when these companies do this, what do? They don't need Bitcoin anymore. They start selling their Bitcoin. And I think that was the cause of the drop in the winter is we had all these Bitcoin mining companies getting rid of their Bitcoin, selling in the open market, using that money, converting their warehouses and their data centers into AI. But what's causing the price to go up? Well, in general, when you have prices go up, you basically have run out of sellers. People who were going to sell, whether they're large institutions, whether they're public Bitcoin mining companies, or whether they're people just like you and me, ordinary people, they've had 3 or 4 months now to sell their holdings. And they've been sitting through this mini bear market when Bitcoin went down as low as $60,000 on February 2nd. um, and they did sell. And if they're not going to sell, if they haven't sold by now, they're not going to sell. They've already seen the bounce from 60 to 79. They're not going to sell now, so there's nobody left to sell. That's basically how markets work. When you run out of sellers, the price can only go up because there's only buyers left. And the same thing is true at the top. At the top, the price peaks and it can't go up any higher because you run out of buyers. All you have then are sellers. So when you run out of buyers, that's when you're at the top of the bull market. And we saw that in October of last year. So there's I think, other reasons why the price is going up. We are seeing MicroStrategy hoovering up, the company formerly known as MicroStrategy, now called Strategy. They are hoovering up money through their Stretch preferred stock product. Stretch is the ticker symbol STRC, and I've talked about it before, and it is absolutely incredible. They are offering the preferred stockholders an 11.5% annual dividend paid monthly into your account. So, of course, if you have any cash laying around, you are enormously incentivized to convert that cash, whether it's in a money market, a fund, or sitting under your mattress or whatever it is, to move that money into Stretch because you then get 11.5%. And that's what we're seeing from people all around the world. Institutions are flooding into this Stretch. So last week, Stretch took in $1.5 billion of cash, an enormous amount of money just in 1 week. And of course, what did Strategy do with that money? They buy Bitcoin with it. About 85% of those proceeds went into buying Bitcoin. The other 15% went into various financial instruments so they can pay the dividend. And Strategy has about 40 years worth of dividend payments on their balance sheet to pay dividends. So there's no risk, really, very, very little risk of them actually running out of money to pay the dividend, especially if you believe that the price of Bitcoin is going to go up over the long term. Yes, we could have 6 months of a bear market like we've had over the last 6 months, or you could have a year of a bear market. You potentially could even have 3 years of a bear market. Even in that worst case scenario, Strategy is extremely well financialized to be able to handle a bear market in the Bitcoin price and still pay the dividends on their preferred stocks like Stretch. So you have institutions like strategy, you have endowments, you have sovereign wealth funds who are all buying Bitcoin. And you still have the ETFs, the exchange traded funds that are out there, like IBIT. And Morgan Stanley just released their Bitcoin ETF, I think last week or 2 weeks ago. And people are buying Bitcoin that way through these ETFs. Now, it's not the same as actually holding the Bitcoin yourself, because you want to actually be free and sovereign with Bitcoin. You don't want to have to trust an institution, a bank, a brokerage, your uncle. You don't want to trust me. You get to hold the Bitcoin yourself. And that's one of the great features of Bitcoin, is that we can be in control of our wealth and we don't have to trust anybody. ETFs don't allow you to do that. So that's another thing that I help people do, is actually get control and hold the private keys which control the Bitcoin in your possession on the blockchain, on the Bitcoin blockchain. So set up a free consultation with me to find out how to buy Bitcoin, how to take possession of it, how to become independent, free, and sovereign with Bitcoin. Another reason why I think Bitcoin is rising is that a couple of the issues that have been causing fear, uncertainty, and doubt over the winter are really kind of going away. The first is the quantum computing threat, which was really hyped up. And I think most people are realizing that, one, quantum is not a threat because it doesn't exist. And even if it does exist, Bitcoiners are very well poised, very ready to make changes to the protocol if, in the unlikely event, quantum computing ever becomes a reality and ever becomes a threat to Bitcoin. I've covered this in previous discussions, and so that fear, uncertainty, it's going away. Another reason is the core implementation of the Bitcoin software implementation is losing steam. It's losing confidence. Also, earlier this week, they released version 31, which completely ignores the consensus of the community about what it wants for a reference implementation. So more and more people are moving to other implementations of the Bitcoin software. The Knots software, which I run and I encourage my clients to run, is now about 25 to 30% of the entire network. It is growing every month. And Knots is really where this is going. And the stranglehold that the core developers had on the Bitcoin software is being loosened, and we are regaining control of the protocol. We plebs, we ordinary people, are proving that Bitcoin is decentralized. It is not centralized. It is not controlled by corporations or big money and interest. It is controlled by us, and we control it by running a node, running the node software here in our homes. And I also teach people how to do that. This is what I encourage all my clients to do, is to become a participatory, active participant in the Bitcoin network by running your node. So please contact me again if you want information about how to do that. Finally, a very exciting development in the Bitcoin world is in response to this pushback against core. There is a movement to change the protocol to drastically reduce spam, and that I've mentioned before is the Bitcoin Improvement Proposal 110, which is slated to be activated at the end of the summer around September 1st. And in order to do this, we need miners to adopt the proposal. Right now, miners are staying quiet because there's no incentive for them to indicate they will support the proposal up until the very moment of activation. But plebs, individuals like you and me, are taking matters into our own hands, and we are starting to mine Bitcoin ourselves. And there's a new development in this known as renting hash rate. Hashes are how we find Bitcoin blocks. And when you rent the hashing power of other people's computers, you can then become a miner very easily. You no longer have to buy a machine. You no longer have to have that machine in your home, running in your garage or spare bedroom. You can actually rent someone else's machine somewhere else, anywhere in the world. And you can rent it by the day, you can rent it by the week, and it doesn't require very much money. You don't have to put down $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 to buy a mining machine itself. You can rent someone else's machine. So a number of plebs, of ordinary Bitcoiners, are now renting hash rate, signaling their own support for BIP 110. And this is further furthering the movement to eliminating spam on the Bitcoin blockchain. So these are all very positive movements for the overall health, for the overall movement of Bitcoin as sound money which will return our society, return our culture to one of honesty and integrity, not lying through fiat money, through money that is created out of nothing, that allows our governments to go to war, allows our governments to fund whatever crazy political projects they want. It'll return us to an honest, sound money system so that we can rebuild our culture on integrity and honesty. So these are all very positive indicators. And I see since I started this video, Bitcoin is already up another $200, $300. We're now at 79,300. So if you are a short-term trader, and I don't recommend trading Bitcoin at all, this is a great time to buy some Bitcoin. But if you're a long-term holder of Bitcoin and you're looking to see, is this winter bear market over? This is another great time to buy Bitcoin for the long term, because I think we are going to be seeing much higher prices in the next 30 days. And then by the end of this year, I think we'll certainly be back to all-time highs over $125,000. So it was sort of a rough Bitcoin winter here. I'll admit it. It was a tough slog, particularly since we just had a wonderful all-time high last October. But this is what it takes to be a Bitcoiner. It's not just a straight line easy ride up. There are highs, there are lows, and then there are higher highs, but not lower lows. The lows are always higher. This is the pattern of Bitcoin. This is not by accident. This is not tulip mania. This is not beanie baby crazes. This is engineered money to be disinflationary, to appreciate over time. This is not some crazy mania. All the countries in the world are slowly recognizing this. And by the way, this is why Iran took Bitcoin for their payment of oil, is because they know that Bitcoin is trustless. Iran doesn't have to trust anyone when they accept Bitcoin. So that's why Iran took Bitcoin as payment, because they knew that no one could take their money. And that is what is giving Bitcoin its international value. And that's why I believe Bitcoin will underpin the entire world financial economy one day, because all countries, all corporations understand that once you properly store your Bitcoin, nobody can take it from you. It is safe. It can't be taken away by government sanctions. It can't be taken away by any army. It can't be taken by violence. The only way someone can get your Bitcoin is if you voluntarily give it to them. And of course, how do you voluntarily get money from anybody? Through trade, through barter, through free exchange of services and goods, through voluntary exchange, through peaceful exchange. This is where the world is going, and it is going to be underpinned by the integrity of Bitcoin. We are moving to a new age of peace and cooperation through barter, through trade, through honesty. All of it will be facilitated by this foundation of Bitcoin. So great news, everybody. Congratulations for getting through the Bitcoin bear winter. And I am here as always to serve you in whatever questions or help you need with Bitcoin. Please contact me at any time if you are a client. If you're not a client, please set up a free 30-minute consultation with me at bitcoinconsultant.us. Have a great week, everybody. Bye now.